Hello everyone. Welcome to another episode of the 1111 Matrix Code Revealed. As always, I'm your host, Garrett King. You know, it would just so happen that as soon as I begin to record this intro, that the neighbor would start mowing or weed eating their lawn. So if you can hear that in the background, I apologize. I just want to be able to get this started. And of course, they start the same time. But anyway, on today's episode, we're going to have a video conversation with Micah Dank. I mentioned this in the last video. And there is a portion of this that you guys have not seen yet. So some of this you will have already seen, but thank you so much, neighbor. It is what it is. Let's just keep it in. Why not? But yeah, so a portion of the information that I revealed to him today, you guys have not seen. So you might want to stick around for that. It's very interesting stuff. It's further looking at, again, the very first sentence out of the Bible, which is, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And it's a breakdown of the very first word. And there is so much being told to us in that first word that it's just extraordinary, just completely extraordinary. So sit back. Hope you guys enjoy this conversation. It looked like my Zoom subscription ran out, so we had to do this in two parts because apparently you can only record for 30 minutes or something like that if you don't have a subscription. Kind of stupid. I didn't realize that mine had run out. So we had to stop and then start over. So it'll be a little piecemealed in the middle, but no big deal. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoy this video and let me know your thoughts in the comment section. And Micah will also be posting this on his channel as well. So definitely go check out his channel. It's really growing very quickly, which is amazing. So, and definitely if you're wanting a really good read, really quick read, really interesting, that sort of Da Vinci Code type story, definitely go check out Micah's books. They are really, really good. So enjoy. And again, let me know what your thoughts are in the comment sections. And until next time, we'll talk again. Take care. Bye-bye. Okay. All right. So how are you doing today?
Fantastic. How are you?
Good. Good.
So what do you got for me today?
I have quite a bit. Well, not quite a bit. I have a little bit that I want to show you. I finished the decoding of that.
The Book of Numbers?
Code. Yes. And some very interesting stuff came out of this. Let me go ahead and share screen. Just do the entire desktop. Okay. So this entire portion was decoded, and just due to lack of time, I won't go through all of these, but there's a couple here that I want to point out because it will play into what I'm going to show you today. The first one was, of course, the 333 that we got from the triangle or the pyramid. It's the edges pointing up. And 333 in Hebrew is the code of creation in Gematria. And then the other portion...
That goes all the way back to how you started this, because you kept seeing the 333.
Exactly. It's the very first number. Yep. Yep. All the way to the beginning. And and what's interesting is we're going to be talking a lot about the beginning and the end today. One of the portions that was decoded in the portion above this, we actually got the beginning is the end.
Right.
And that was decoded right here. Well, actually, in this portion down here, we get the rest of the statement, which is, and the end is the beginning. And it's decoded right here in green. Now, what's interesting about this, it's kind of this whole portion here, which I find interesting. It starts with the number 356, which is right here. And we get in Hebrew, the creator of man, and also destroy everything. Then right below it in Hebrew, it's the value 160, which gives us, and that being is God. So the creator of man, destroy everything, and that being is God. Then directly next to it in Hebrew, we get 261, which produces the phrase, and let there be an end.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Next to it, 622 is where we get, and the end is the beginning. Next to that, 150, the sign of life. And then directly below it, we have 210, which is the great reset.
Right.
Then below that, 113 in Hebrew, we get, and bring about unification. And then the last two are 115, which is the miracle, and 35, which is the star. Now, keep in mind that all these numbers were generated by taking the numbers from the 1111 matrix code and selecting every fourth number and removing everything that was in between.
Right. And I mentioned to you that when you're talking about doing decodings, just to tie it into something that's my work, the Caesarean code, okay? This is what the Caesarean code is it's a code developed by Caesar, whereby it's a nonsensical string of letters, but what you do is you count out 4 letters from the letters. So if it's an A, B, C, D, E. Okay, so if it's an A, it's actually an E. So there's the 4th one. It ties it into your work too.
Yeah, definitely.
Which I'm pretty sure I wrote about in one of my books. I think if you're caught up, you probably saw that I put the Caesarean code in it.
Almost caught up. Almost caught up. I'm getting there. What's interesting about this, though, is there's another message that came in that's hidden, and it's right here. And it has the value of 481. And in Hebrew, it produces the message is complete. Now, what's interesting is, and again, keeping in mind that I've taken every fourth number, look at this pattern that emerges. So everything ended right here, and then we're getting these diagonal numbers. That's all 2, all 8, all 4, all 0, all 6, and then it repeats 2, 8, 4, 0, 6, 2, 8, 4, 0, 6.
Have you ever seen a movie, Garrick, back in the day called Contact? It was with Jodie Foster.
Yeah.
Remember how they what this pattern looks like to me is it looks like it could be folded 3D almost, just like they did in that movie. Have you played around with that? Do you think that it could be somewhere like that? It's strikingly similar to me.
Yeah, it's possible, and I thought about it, but I don't know how I would take this and bend it, in such a way to see it in a 3D shape. Now, what's even more interesting is look how long that pattern continues. It just goes and goes and goes and goes.
Oh, wow.
And then it finally stops abruptly on line 903. The pattern just runs out, just ends.
What does 903 give you?
In gematria, I haven't actually looked that up. But 93, because 93 is a pretty common number in the occult, Um, I thought that was kind of interesting, but I will look that up and see what 903 produces. But I mean, that is just a tremendous amount of repeating, like a repeating pattern just over and over and over. So it actually goes
Yeah,
from 84, line 84 to 903 nonstop.
goes from 84.
Yeah, from line 84 all the way to 903.
So what is the difference between the two of them?
So let's
93.
see. 903 minus 84, 819. Doesn't
Which
ring
is
anything.
1718, which reduces to 9.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. You're right. That's interesting. Okay. Okay. Well, this that's weird because this is all going to tie in. You're going to see a whole bunch of these repeating things coming to light today. So, one of the other things that I did was I took the formula of the 1111 matrix code and I wanted to see how it would apply to all the other numbers.
Uh-huh.
So, as you know, the 1111 matrix code, it started by taking 1111 times 333, getting 369,963, adding 1111 back
Right.
to it, generates the first number. Move it
Right.
over, and then add 369,963, get the second number. So, applying
Right.
that same formula to 111, 222, 444, and so on. So with 1111 times 111, we get 123321. Add 1111 back to it, we get the first number. We move it over, and of course, we're going to add 123321 to it to generate the second number because it's the same formula, just obviously different numbers. But look what happens. The third number is the first number of the 1111 matrix code.
Mm-hmm.
The sixth number is the second number. The ninth number,
So on and so forth. Right. Okay, I see.
you see 369.
Mm-hmm. That's the key to the universe, according to Tesla.
Yes. And it happens with every number. So 1111 times 222. The third number is actually the second number. The sixth number is the third number. And the ninth number is the sixth number. And it's again 369. It's only those numbers that fall in the third, sixth, and ninth pattern that is part of this code. Now,
Wow.
when you break these down, so using that formula from the 1111 matrix code of taking the fourth digits and adding the remaining, we get this pattern 4444, 7777, 1111. 1111 only lands on the third, sixth, and the ninth number every single time.
Wow.
Now, reducing those down, we get this pattern 714. Well, strangely, it changes on 222 from 714 to 174.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you take 714 plus 174, we get 888, which is Jesus
Right.
in Greek.
Isus, correct.
Yep. So, and then what's interesting is with 666, all the numbers are part of the original code. 999, same thing. All the numbers
Mhm.
because it falls into the 3, 6, and 9.
You know, the interesting thing too is if you take the 888 and you flip it to its side, you get three infinities. You get the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, the infinite.
Yeah, yeah. That's true too. I just never thought of that until you just said it. Well, the other interesting thing here too is when it comes to the threes, the sixes, and the nines, all the numbers reduced to 4. 4 was the number that essentially kind of broke the code because it was the last 4 digits, adding the remaining that brought everything back to 1111. So we know that 714 and 174 gives us 888, but we have 444 left over. So if we take 888 plus 444, we get 1332, which is the same as 369 plus 963. 1332. And then, of course, 1332 plus its mirror opposite gives us 3663. We know greatly about 3773, and subtracting that gives us 110. That number will come up here in just a moment. Now, I just thought this was interesting. I thought it was interesting how all the numbers tie into this, and it all comes back to 369. What I really want to show you is this. And in one of our videos, you had mentioned that you were looking for a smaller portion of the code that you
Let me
could
just see that a sec. Hold on. Let me just see it in Hebrew. Hold on. Oh, this is the beginning. It's Bereshit bara Elohim et Hashemayim ve'et haaretz. This is the beginning. This is the first line of the Bible.
Correct. Yes. So you were mentioning that you know, because all of this is so complex, but if you could find a small portion of the code to use in one of your books, this might be it. So this phrase, as we know, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. This is in Hebrew. So all of these small numbers above each letter is the value for the letter. The larger number is the value for the entire word itself. We know that the entire value of this phrase is 2701, which is achievable by taking 37 times 73. 2701. We've already talked about this, but I'm just going to kind of backtrack a little bit. The other interesting factor of this is taking 2701 plus its mirror opposite of 1072 also gives us 3773.
Wow.
Now, when you look at this phrase, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. This middle word here in red, I've had some people tell me that the word means the, and I've had other people tell me that it's an untranslatable word. It doesn't actually mean anything. It's only
hold on a second. I'll tell you right now because I can read it. I can actually read Hebrew. So it says you're reading from the right to the left, by the way. So it's Bereshit bara. In the beginning, God created Elohim. In the beginning, God created et Hashemayim ve'et haaretz. Yeah, that's weird. I never actually really thought of that.
Yeah, so it's actually used as a connecting, it's used as a bridge to bridge this to this. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. The word is only 2 letters. 2 is a prime number. Now that we're talking about the number 2, let's look at the second word and the second.
Wait, let me give you one more thing. Let me give you one more thing with Hebrew.
Sure.
The 2 letters, the one on the right is an aleph. That's the first letter of the Hebrew alphabet. One to the left is Tuf. That's the last letter of the Hebrew alphabet.
Pretty much the alpha and the omega.
Correct.
Yep. I was hoping you would catch that. So, okay. That was cool that you caught that. Okay, so like I said, we were talking about the second and the third, or the second word and the second to the last word. They're made up of 3 letters. 3 is a prime number.
Correct.
Now that we're talking about 3, let's look at the third word and the third to the last word. Made up of 5 letters. 5 is a prime number.
Right.
The entire sentence is made up of 7 words. 7 is a prime number. So looking at it this way, this word has 3 letters. 3. Since this is a bridge word, if we take this word and this word, combine them, we have 5 and 2 is 7.
And then you do the same thing with Elohim and Et, that's 7. And then bara is 3. So you get the 3773.
Exactly. Encoded right in this first sentence.
It's incredible.
So it's going to get even deeper. I hope you took your edible.
I did actually, right before we started.
Awesome. Because this is probably going to blow your mind. So let's look at some of these words. So we have 86, which is the value of God, 395, which is the heavens, and 296,
Right.
which is the earth. Gives us 777,
Right.
which is achievable by taking 37 times 7 times 3. 3773.
Wow. So cool.
Let's go on. So 86 plus 395 plus 407 gives us 888, which is achievable by taking 37 times 7 times 3 plus 111. Again, 3773. Now, 203 created, 401, that's the bridge word, and 395.
Right.
The heavens gives us 999, which is achievable by taking 37 times 3 times 3 times 3. So already we're seeing 37, which is prevalent in the 1111 matrix code because all the numbers are going up and down by 37.
Right.
Now we're seeing the arrival of 333. And we have 777, 888, and 999. So we're going to see all of these numbers, 37, 333, 369, and 1111 play out in this entire thing. And 369 is literally right here staring us in the face because 7 times 3 is 21, and 1 and 2 is 3.
Right.
8 times 3 is 24.
24, 6, and then 27, 9. I got it. Wow.
Yep. 369. Now, let's see. Where do I want to go from here?
Corinthians is standing out. I mean, I'm sure you have an order you want to do things in, but I don't remember that passage offhand.
It'll make sense here in just a second. Just a second. So going back to the prime numbers really quick. Just want to show you this. So we know that 2, 3, 5, and 7 are the ones that are playing out heavily in this. So 2 plus 3 plus 5 plus 7 is 17.
Mm-hmm.
17 in Hebrew it's the value given to the word good.
Yeah, 12. 12 means good.
Now, the light has the value of 252. Okay.
Right.
So we have 17, and 17 is also a prime number. So 17 times 17 is 289. 289 minus the light, 252, gives us 37. Okay. Now this is a little bit of a shock. When when I was doing some of this decoding the other day, I meant to copy this entire word, but I only copied a portion of it. I thought I copied the whole word, but I only copied a portion, which is what led me into all of this next part. The word created right here.
Yeah, bara. Yeah.
is the exact same first three letters of the very first word.
I didn't even notice that. Wow. Yeah.
Now, that word, well, okay, let me back up here. So we have the first word. So created is actually at the very beginning of the very first word. The last three letters here make up a word that simply means set in place or make stationary.
Yeah, sheet. Yeah.
Now, did you know that this word created has a secondary meaning, which is to cut down?
I know that now.
So, literally in the first word, we have created, set in place, and cut down, almost as though it's saying God's intention was to create the heavens and the earth, set them in place, and then he means to cut them down, to put an end to them. How will he do that? When you take this first word,
The word is berate. Berate, yeah.
So as we know, it's in the beginning. I'm going to remove the two letters in the middle because they actually make up a word.
Aish, yeah.
When you remove those two letters, we get a new word, and that word is covenant. The two letters I removed make up the word fire. So God created the heavens and the earth. He set them in place. He intends to cut them down through a covenant of fire. Now, this word here is actually, whoops.
Rashid.
It's this word with the first.
Without the bat, yeah.
Yep.
Rashid.
Oh, whoops. Hang on a second here. Copy too much. Okay. So it tells us it's the same as this word, which simply means head.
Raish. Raish means head, yeah.
And that is the three letters right here in the middle of the word. So head, it means the first. It also means first fruits. That's why I have Corinthians highlighted there, because Jesus was called or referred to as the first fruits. But also when you think of the head of a house, the head of heaven, well, who would be the head?
Well, Raish actually literally means your head, too.
Yeah. But getting to a secret meaning here, I think. So meaning like let's say it's the head of the household. Well, who would that be? It would be the Son of God, which is.
So that's bait, that's bar, that's sun.
So the very first two.
So the word son is bar. Okay. So when you have a bar mitzvah, it's the son's mitzvah.
Right. And we see it right here, son.
Yep.
So is this right in the very first word telling us that God created the heavens and the earth? He set them in place. He means to cut them down using a covenant of fire, and that covenant of fire will be the head of his household, the son.
Wow. You know, I've got to say, Garrick, that I in my work, I do get a lot of people sending me videos. People are like, I love your work, but you know, check this out or check this person out. And I do a lot of that, but I have never the way that I've been told my work kind of blows people's minds. Yours blows my mind, to be honest with you. I've never seen anything like this before. This is like a cousin to what I do. This is like a cousin to what I do. Like our works are so related. There's got to be a unifying field theory between them.
Right. Well, I think it just shows. I mean, there is a deep, deep, intricately connected code that just runs through. I mean, this entire thing. I mean, even with your work and with the talking about it. Why does it say this meeting will end in 10 minutes? That's weird. You see that on my screen?
Yeah, I do. I see it.
Okay. I don't know why it's doing that.
Just let it end, and then we'll do it again. You can edit it. It's fine.
Okay. Okay. So
We'll take a quick 5-minute break between.
Okay. Okay.
Right?
And I'll just piecemeal it together.
Yeah. That's fine.
So, but with talking about like the crops, like when it's time to do like plant your seeds and tend to your
Right. That's what I thought.
yeah, and it's all, and even that is a beginning and an end. Talking about the
Right.
seasons, it's the beginning and an end.
Right. The year begins in Aries. Correct. That's the agricultural year, and it ends in Pisces. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. So let me move some of this out of the way. One other thing to just quickly point out that 3 times 7 times 7 times 3 gives us 441, which is the mirror opposite of 144, which, as we've talked about, is also Lord Jesus Christ. So there's another tie-in.
Also beyond that too, the 144, because in the book of Revelation they talk about the 144,000 that are to be saved, and I didn't invent it, but I show how it's the chakras. That's what they're talking about. The 144.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they're basically talking about. It's a sacred number, of course. It's 12 times 12.
Right.
For starters, it's 12 times 12. You have the 12 zodiacs. You have the 12 disciples, the 12 months. You have the 12 tribes of Israel. I mean, it just goes on and on and on.
Absolutely.
The constant mention.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. So what I'm finding interesting about this is just the fact that this word is the beginning. And encoded within that very first word is the end being told to us. And as we've seen, the phrase, the beginning is the end and the end is the beginning, has the value of 1111.
Right.
Now, how does 1111 play?
You can go into quantum physics into this. You could talk about how time is only moving in one direction in our dimension, but the truth of the matter is there's only one eternal moment, which is now, and everything is actually the past, the future, everything is actually happening at the same time. We just see it a different way in order to function in the world.
Right.
This is a third dimensional kind of thing. But when you get into higher dimensions, you can bend this. There's no space time, so you can kind of bend the past into the future. That's why they say that reincarnation, right? If you understand quantum theory, Garrick, your next life, it's not going to be in the future, or it can be in the future, but it doesn't necessarily have to be. Your next life could be like a peasant girl 600 years ago.
Right. Yeah, I've made the comment, that we're all connected on this planet, and I may not think that I'm connected to an Asian woman somewhere in China or anywhere, but somewhere along the lines I'm connected deep.
Well, there's something that I talk about which is called the pedigree collapse theory. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but I wrote about it in my first book. The pedigree collapse theory basically says this, is that you do simple math, Garrick. You're one person, you have 2 parents, 4 grandparents, 8 great grandparents, so on and so forth, right? If you go back 840 years, all right, which is roughly about however many generations, right? It'll take you to about 100 billion people, which is what has been estimated that the entire world's population has ever been. 800 billion. We have 7 billion or 8 billion now. It was 800 billion. It was 100 billion overall. Okay, and what the pedigree collapse theory says is that it's impossible unless that there's like incest, or unless there is, in fact, or like cousins getting together and collapsing the pedigree, because we just don't have that many people on Earth.
Right.
And when you talk about things like that, scientists, based on the pedigree collapse theory, suggest that at our furthest, like you from an Aborigine, right? At most, you're only 50 cousins away. Okay. In fact, if you have two parents that were born in the same country, there's a good chance that within 8 generations you share a common ancestor. So there is that. So we are all one. That's a fact.
Right. Yeah. Well, I've often wondered why they haven't taken some of these mummies, that they've found and done DNA tracing and seen, who
They
might.
do. They do. When you get off with me, look up someone named Cheddarman.
Cheddarman. Okay.
Look up Cheddarman. He was found in a cave. He's 5,000 years old, and they traced him to like a math teacher in the area.
Really?
Yeah, look up Cheddarman when you get off with me.
Okay. Wow, that's interesting, because I was talking to my brother about that the other day, and I was like, have they ever done that? Like, wow.
No, the DNA is there.
That's incredible. That's incredible. Hmm. Well, let's tie this back into the 1111. So with the indication that the beginning is the end and the end is the beginning, it gives us the notion that everything just simply goes on forever. There's no beginning and there is no end. And the Hebrew word for forever, it's right here. It's actually made up of 2 words. And the first word, the value is 74. And the second word is 146. Well, these numbers are achievable by taking 2 times 73 and 37 times 2.
Right.
Giving us a new number, 7337, almost the flip of 3773. And here's the tie-in. So 7337 plus 3773 is 1111. And of course, using the formula of taking the last 4 and adding the remaining, we would move this 1 over here, and we would simply have 1111. So all of this simply decoded from the very first sentence in the Bible. It's like there's more hidden there than what was originally thought.
Right. 100%. I didn't realize it was that deep. That's insane.
Yeah. Now, I have right here, I have it typed out, last chapter and verse of Genesis. Well, Genesis, we have the beginning, and we see this connection to 3773. Well, it's actually in it's like encoded. Let's see, I'm just going to type in Bible Online. Just going to use this King James version, doesn't really matter. I'm going to go to Genesis, chapter 50, last verse. And it simply tells us that it says, so Joseph died being 110 years old. Okay, 110, which is the equivalent of 37 plus 73, 110. And it is the last verse, last chapter of Genesis. So again, we have the beginning is the end, and the end is the beginning in just the numbers themselves.
That's wild. You want to pause now and then send me a new link and then.
Yep. Yeah, because it says less than a minute. So we'll go ahead and stop this. I'll send you a new link and then we'll start up here in 5 minutes or so.
Yeah, yeah. Send me a new link. I'll be back in a minute.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, so yeah, okay, so we saw all the encodings taking place in Genesis 1, so in the first sentence. Um, and then you and I were briefly talking about in Genesis the lineage, the
Yeah, I was just gonna bring that up, and then we that tied into the book of Numbers, and then yeah, yeah, yeah.
so when I was going through those numbers, and it's so interesting the way that they put them in the Bible because it talks about, like how Adam lived to be 130 and then he had a son. And then, it lists that age and then it goes on to say, how old he was when he died. And then you have to combine those two to get the total age. So that's
Mhm.
where actually that error came up with when I told you the other day. And it was in Noah's where they're talking about Noah. So he lived to be 500 before he had, his first son, apparently.
Yeah, I would. Can I make a comment on this? I don't know
Sure.
if you found patterns in this yet, or if you found a couple patterns in this, but according to the Bible, Enoch didn't die. He was brought up to heaven. They say he was 65 and he was not, for God took him. So I would just remove the 65 because he technically didn't die. So I wonder if that gives you anything new to work with.
Well, let's see. So if we removed Enoch completely,
Right.
so 40,
Makes sense, right?
yeah, so that would be 38. Hmm, which is 11. But see, here's the pattern I was finding. So keeping it there, I originally thought that this total, when you reduce those ages down, would be 42. But because they kind of trick
Right.
you with with Noah, because it talks about he lived to be 500, and then it goes on and it's mentioned, I want to say it's in chapter 7, verse 6, that he was 600 years old when the flood started.
Right.
So it didn't make sense if you skipped over that part how he could have lived to be 950. But because that's
Right.
thrown in there, then it does play out. So I originally had this down as being 42, but it should be 43. But reducing these down, 4 and 3 becomes 7. And then through the
Mhm.
second lineage, all those become 42. And it still becomes 42. That's what I was saying. The error actually corrects itself because 7 times 6 is 42.
Right.
And it's also interesting that it's chapter 7, verse 6, that we're told that he was, let's see, go to chapter 7, verse 6. Yeah. And Noah was 600 years old when the flood of waters was upon the earth. So again, there might be a pattern taking place here because it's 7 and 6 again. So I
Right.
want to look into this a little more deeply, but I think there's another interesting thing that's taking place here. So we're told that Noah was 600 years old when the flood water started. So let's take 600. And then if we read on, let's see. So, and it came to pass after 7 days that the waters of the flood were upon the earth. So let's add 7. And it was in the second month and the 17th day. So let's add 2 plus 17. And then it goes on to say, and the flood was 40 days upon the earth, which gives us an encoded 666. Which, I know people are going to see that number. They're going to think, oh, it's nefarious. It's terrible. It means something bad. But again, I don't think that. I just think it's
No, it doesn't.
interesting with those numbers that encoding right through that section, we get a 666.
Right.
Now, going back to this was actually pointed out to me this morning by one of my followers. If I can find it. So if we take 777, 888, 999, line them up, you do 7 plus 8 plus 9 is 24, and 2 and 4 is 6. So actually, there's an encoded.
Yeah, there's a 666 there too.
Yeah. Which I thought was another interesting tie-in.
Right.
But there's something else that's kind of interesting. You can take a 3 by 3 by 3. So again, 3, 3, 3 cube, and put all the numbers 1 through 26, line them up in this way. And every single line, whether it's going across, up and down, back and forth, every line will total 42.
It's like the Rotas square.
Exactly. Exactly.
I think it's called the Rotas square. I might be wrong. Is it something else?
It's Rotas or Sator. It's
Sator, yeah.
Yeah, it's the same word forwards and backwards. So, but yeah, I just thought that was interesting. And this kind of ties into what you were saying just earlier about the movie Contact and a three-dimensional
Yes.
shape.
Yes, correct.
So
it's called a primer.
Yeah.
It's there's little connecting spots in it where they then you would just bend it up, you would forward it, and then it becomes a 3D representation. There are computer programs that do that, my friend.
Is there? Okay.
There are computer programs. I don't know which ones. I just know that they do that.
Okay. Yeah, I'll have to look into it because I mean, I would love to see what would happen if.
Do you know anyone that does CAD?
Actually, my brother.
Does your brother do CAD? Ask your brother for the program, then he would know.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, because he worked for the city and he had to do a whole bunch of city planning stuff. So he was using AutoCAD and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, ask him.
Okay. Yeah, that's that's weird. I never even thought to mention that to him.
You see, we birth brilliant ideas on the 1111 matrix code.
Over and over and over.
Yeah.
Well, the other interesting thing, and I forgot to point this out just a moment ago with these numbers, 28406. Well, we know that 0 has no value.
Correct. Well, yeah, I guess, yeah.
I mean, it's
the value of everything. I'll show you some videos. 0 is the value for everything because everything, whether it's positive or negative, everything equals out to 0, which is the harmonic balance of everything. But I understand what you're saying as far as numerical values go. Yes.
Yeah, like if I was to reduce those down, it wouldn't play into the final number.
Correct.
So with that in mind, looking at the sequence of the way that it's going, 2, 8, 4, and then let's just say 6. Let's just drop 0 out of it. So 28406, it actually is forming this number 4 on a calculator, but we also would get the placement of the cross as well in 2, 8, 4, and 6. And of course, 5 is missing, and if we go back,
it even crosses you the proper way.
Right.
Up, down, left, right.
Yeah. And it's just, again, repeated over and over and over.
Wild.
And again, it literally starts at the end of where this, or, at the beginning of where this ended. And none of these patterns, none of these repeating patterns, these diagonal patterns take place anywhere above. So it's almost like this portion from here all the way down to here, again, was designed to fit in that spot.
Of course it was.
And then this weird pattern that takes place down here. And there's a lot of numbers in between. And, could those numbers have, well, it's, this just jumped out to me. Look right here. 3773. And down here, 7373. So, could these numbers in between have some sort of meaning, some sort of, once put into that 3D shape, if it's possible, if something formed out of it, what would those numbers additionally mean? And then, of course, when you look at it with this idea in mind, I mean, there's no telling what kind of information is hidden inside there.
Right.
I mean, just incredible. So, but that's what I'm currently working on now is going through this portion, trying to find patterns through this.
Did we do a video on the Book of Numbers, or was that something we were just texting behind the scenes?
That was something that we were just texting behind the scenes. And I actually have that right here. So this was taking what I guess is commonly referred to as the censuses. You know, in the Bible, there was the first
Yeah,
one.
the first census, yeah.
And so taking all of those numbers from the census, including the total itself, produces this first number, which is 1207100. And then the second one was tricky because there's a portion in there where they talk about 250 men perished in a fire. So you have to subtract that number from the total, which gives us 1226210 for a combination of 2433310. 333 is sitting right in the center of it. That number is achievable by taking 11 times 20,110. And we get the exact same number. And then, of course, applying the 1111 matrix code of taking the last 3 digits and adding the remaining, we get 3553, which is the value given to the phrase, "We are immortal souls with amnesia in a simulation."
I'm gonna use that in my 9th book whenever I write it.
I mean, when you see these
amazing
like this, just it continually.
You don't even get blown away anymore, do you? You're just kind of like, oh, of course it meant that.
Yeah. I mean, literally, that's no joke. When this first started, I started seeing these connections and making these connections, I would get chills, but now it's just like, oh yeah, well, of course it does. Of course it's supposed to do that. It's no longer a surprise anymore when I come across this stuff. But that's basically it. That's what I wanted to show you. I really that first part with Genesis. I just thought this was extraordinarily interesting, the way that this whole first word, it's like the entire thing is told to us in the first word.
Yeah.
The very first word.
Absolutely.
And again, that was just because I thought I copied the entire word, but I only copied a portion of it, pasted it in, saw the translation. I was like, what the hell is that? That's not that's not the translation. And then I looked and realized what I had done. And that just sent me down this journey of going, okay, well, what else is in here? And starting to break this down, break this apart. And just to show you, so this is the word for created. Why does it keep doing that? Okay, so we have, but it also, this is another interesting thing. As a noun, it also means son, child. But a verb, to create, and then it also means to cut down.
Scroll up a little.
Scroll up or down?
Up.
Up.
Further up. I want to see the word.
Oh, right here.
Bar. It's bar. It's literally bar. Yeah. Bar mitzvah. It's a son. It's a boy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bar. Yeah.
So it's almost like a double tie-in, because we're getting son, and also it's the very first 3 letters of the first word. And the first 2 letters of the first word also mean son.
Correct.
So it's just this deep encoding. I mean, it's extraordinary. Like, I don't know. I mean, it's hard to imagine that man,
Created this language.
yes.
Um, so you do have to understand two things. Number one, the Hebrew Old Testament was never ever meant to be broken down the way that you did it. The proper way to read it is one long string. There's no breaks in words, there's no breaks in paragraphs, there's no breaks in chapters. It's just one fluid motion. Okay. What you would call Phoenician Canaanite, okay, that you can call Hebrew, the Hebrew language, it's actually a code. It's actually not a language, it's a code that is being used as a language, but it is a code. You
Right.
take Bereshit, you do all that with Bereshit. If you take in the beginning, you don't get any of that if you break down the words in the beginning. You have to use the Hebrew word.
Right.
You know, this has been studied a million times before.
Yeah. And that's why I was like really kind of blown away when you see this word, this very first word that's supposed to mean in the beginning, but yet all these other combinations of words come out of it.
Right.
It was just, I don't know. That's so extraordinary to me. And especially in such an order that
Yeah.
seems to tell a story.
Right.
We're being told about the beginning and the end in the beginning. I mean, it literally is. The beginning is the end, and the end
It's the
is
alpha.
the
It's the
beginning.
alpha and the omega. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm very impressed, my friend. Incidentally, did you get my seventh book? I sent it to you.
Yes. Yes, I did get it.
Okay.
Gonna start. What I do is like I get the books from you, but I also buy them as a Kindle because I like to keep my books in pristine um, order. Like I cannot stand, to have a book where someone's bent the spine back and all
Great.
this stuff. So I like to preserve my books, but I get them on Kindle and
Well, I
just
appreciate your double support.
yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, they're great, great books. How's this new one doing?
It's doing good. In
Awesome.
fact, my publicist, um, I'll premiere this here. Let's see here a second. I have to find it though. So you know how we had the first book or the first half of the first book turned into a screenplay, right?
Hmm.
Mm-hmm. Well, she texted me. I just got a lead for Roku, Fire, Apple TV, and Google Play. Obviously, it will take a while, but keep fingers crossed.
Oh, that's awesome.
Which is fantastic because I don't want this to be a movie deal. I want this to be a TV series, like um, the one that I just saw with Dan Brown, The Lost Symbol.
Oh,
I think
did
this
they
would be
make that
about.
into a TV show?
They made it into a 10-episode miniseries,
Oh,
and
might have to check it out.
I'm thinking that, and all these streaming services are perfect for that.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
They're dying for content. They are. I've gotten a lot of positive feedback from people. They're like Da Vinci Code about astrology and a bunch of other esoteric stuff. Of course, we're in, but they're like, we don't have any money. So reaching out to these services, she's like, I'm not disenchanted because she's like, I'm not disheartened, and I still think we should like continue to pitch because they like your idea. Everybody's very on board with the idea. It's just no studio has the money. So I'm hoping one of these will.
Right. Yeah. And you don't want it to be some like low budget, type thing that's just going to get swept under the rug.
Well, that species with amnesia thing that you broke down, um, that's going in my next book.
Awesome. Awesome.
As are you. You're going to
Awesome.
be the numerologist that teaches it. I'm going to write you into a chapter. You're going to be the numerologist that teaches you. Of course, I need your permission, and there's no better permission to get than live permission. So, do I have your permission to use your name and your work in my book?
Absolutely. 100%. 100%. I would be honored. I can't wait to even read it.
It's gonna be great.
Is it something that you've already started or?
No, I haven't touched the ninth book yet. I'm just generating the ninth book. So my books are usually about 50,000 words. They're about like maybe 30 chapters, maybe a little less. They're short. They're short books. They're only like 260 pages at most.
Mhm.
But this next book is probably going to be double that because I'm just going to really just go all out with it. My
Awesome.
eighth book is done. So you have my seventh. My eighth book is done. And that's just being, I think we're pushing it out in September, or we're going to start working on it in September. And then that'll be the 8 books. And then I'll have a ninth book whenever I start writing it. Too busy though right now.
You're just compiling all the information now.
Well, it's not even, yeah, well, there's a lot of that. Yeah. There's a lot of compiling the information. See, what I do, Garrick, is when I think of a funny thing that one of the characters are going to say to each other, or like an immature thing or whatever, or a piece of knowledge that I really like, what I do is I save it on my phone into a folder. And then when the folder gets to about like 80 snaps or whatever, or 100 snaps, I go on a Word doc on my computer and I just put it into a Word doc. So what I do is when I'm ready to write, I print the Word doc out. It's like 15, 16 pages, just full of information. I take a highlighter and I hit it with it. And I say, this is chapter one. This is chapter one. Let's put that in chapter one. And then that's how I write. I never usually have writer's block because I have too much stuff to write about. You know, I'm 8 books in right now and I have so much stuff ready for book 9. It's going to be insane.
Wow. Do you see it going above 9?
I don't know. I don't know yet. It's so hard to give these characters up. Originally, it was supposed to be 1 book, then 2, then turned into a trilogy. Then I got the book deal, and then we were talking 6 books, and then I wrote a 7th, and then that's out, and then we have an 8th. As long as I can keep this type of energy and the fans like it, I'm going to keep writing.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I would. Definitely. Wow. Wow. Yeah, I mean there's just so much. There's no telling, how far you can really take this.
Right. And I've been racking my brain too, trying to figure out how you can do this. And the best that I've come up with is you put all of them on DVDs or flash drives and sell the flash drives.
Oh, with this information here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe with your videos, and then you could send them your PowerPoints and everything so they can look it up themselves. You got to start commercializing on this. There's something here. There's something very big here. Okay. And I don't say that lightly.
Right. Well, and I've seen like comments on YouTube. I mean, lots of people have like made comments saying, I wish I had access to his spreadsheet,
Yeah. So
which
sell it.
I mean,
Sell it.
I mean, I could, but the thing is too, it's like it's really nothing that someone couldn't create themselves. It's just
No, at
time
this
to
level
do
of
it.
the game, no, you're zoned into this. This is what you were made to do. You're zoned into this. Okay. Just because someone can pick up on what you're doing doesn't mean that they can create what you're doing. You have to remember that.
That's true. That's true. That's true.
So I really thank you for bringing me on. Cut, scrabble the video, shoot me a downloadable thing,
Yep.
and let's see what kind of responses we get. So everybody, I started telling people to comment in the section, but guys, in the video, comment what you think. Comment if you see anything. Comment if you think it's a good idea that Garrick start, providing this to people, selling it to people, even if it's just, even if it's just on a CD, or not even a CD, because you can't even do that anymore. Not even a DVD even, but like, even if it's just on a flash drive, and someone would just pay like $20 to see it,
Right.
and then they can share it with everybody. This can go viral.
That's true. That's true.
So comment, guys, comment on everything. Let us know what you think. That's about it.
Okay. Well, I thank you for taking the time to look at this, and
Oh,
again,
always.
I will always give you any of the information that I find, because I mean that's that I feel like that's what I'm supposed to do. Like
It is what you're supposed to do.
this
It is what
information
you're
is not
supposed
meant to
do.
be hidden.
It is what you're meant to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have you been seeing 333s since you started doing this?
I've been seeing it again, to be honest. Like when it first started back in 2009, it was every night, for practically an entire year. And then it just, after that dream that I had of my father visiting me, it just stopped, and then it was a couple of years later that the 1111 thing started. But here recently, 333 has started to make a comeback.
So just do me a favor, because we're 4 videos deep right now. Remind people how the 1111 started, because we know about the 333, but how the 1111 caught on.
Well, the 1111 started happening after I got married. And then I legally changed my name to my husband's last name, which is King. So after that, literally, it was within probably the same week after I legally changed my name that I went to bed one night and was doing some reading, put the Kindle aside, closed my eyes, and my eyes were literally shut for just mere seconds before there was I want to say blinding, but it wasn't blinding. It should have been blinding, but it wasn't. This tremendous white light, like that I was seeing through my eyelids. It was like someone had wheeled in a spotlight and put it right in front of my face and turned it on. It was that bright. And instead of just, immediately opening my eyes to see what it was, I tried to rationalize what it was. I thought, someone had pulled in downstairs, with their headlights, but the key word is downstairs. So there's no way their headlights could have shone through our window. I thought, even for a second that someone had broken in and was shining a flashlight in my face, but the dogs weren't reacting. And so after all that, I finally opened my eyes and was like, I'm seeing this bright white light through my eyelids. I opened my eyes and the room is pitch black. And I just happened to look over at the clock. It was 11:11. And from that moment forward, that number has just been showing up all over the place. So much that I began to research what it meant and started finding these connections. So, like, after legally changing my name to King, my name became 11 letters long. And first name begins with K, first name ends with K, last name begins with K. K is the 11th letter of the alphabet. And so encoded right in my name is 1111.
You forgot that the G is also the first letter of your name and the last letter of your name.
That's true too. Yeah. Whoa. Yeah. I didn't even think about that at all. So, and then I just started finding patterns. I was born September 2nd. 9 and 2 is 11. September 2nd is the 245th day of the year. 2 plus 4 plus 5 is 11. The address that we lived at, when you took all of the numbers in the address at that particular time, totaled them together, they would reduce to 11. We moved after that. The next address did the exact same thing. And it's just this number, it was just showing up everywhere. I would look at the clock, it'd be 11:11. I'd be on the highway driving down the road, there'd be a truck that would drive by. It would either have the number 11:11 displayed, time's running out again, Zoom is dumb. Or other times it would be right in the center of a big giant number. So it would have all these numbers and then right in the center, 1, 1, 1, 1. And it would just stand out every time. Every time I'd see it, it's like a sore thumb. And so last year, I had a day where I was seeing it 3 or 4, maybe even 5 times in one day. And it just got me thinking, is there a connection between these two numbers? And that's when this whole download process, thought process, whatever you want to call it, whatever this process
at this point, it's a process.
Yeah.
But you're getting downloads, man.
I think so too. I think I was receiving downloads in the forms of just these thoughts, because they weren't voices in my head. They weren't anything like that. But yeah, just this random thought to take those two numbers, 11:11, and 333 and multiply them together. And from that, all of this sprang out of that.
Amazing. All right, Garrick, thank you for having me, my friend. Let's do this again soon. Text me when you start to figure more stuff out.
Oh, yeah.
Edit this up, send me the file. And as always, thank you, man. It's always great talking to you.
Yeah. Yeah. I enjoy it every single time. Every single time. I'm just glad that you give your time to me to sit and let me show you all this stuff.
Yeah, I get comments on my YouTube where people are like, "You doing another video with Garrick?" I'm like, "This might be a thing on my channel too."
Oh, awesome. Awesome. That's
And
awesome.
thank you for letting me upload these videos
Oh, yeah,
to
definitely.
my
I
channel.
want to get the information out there the best way, and I'm more than happy to have people post it on their
Did
channel.
you do? Did you do Tripoli?
Yeah, I have been on Sam Tripoli. Yeah.
You did Tripoli?
Yep.
I did Tripoli too. I'm trying to think who else I can get you in contact with. Let me work on that,
Okay. Okay.
and I will talk to you soon. All right, brother.
All right. Sounds good. You have a good weekend.
You too. Take care.
Yep. Take care, Micah.